Rose, it feels like it has been so long since I've seen you. You are all the way over in North Carolina. So how are you getting on?
I know, it feels like it's been forever. It's also going really quickly, but it does feel like a very long time since I've been in London. And it's been great, actually. I have to say, I mean, we bang on about the weather way too much, but it makes the world of difference. It's currently lovely and sunny. I ran in a crop top this morning and shorts, and it was delightful. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit smug, to be honest. It's been great.
Oh, you should be smug, honestly. It has been so sunny today here, but it's still really cold and I just cannot wait to get back into the warmth. But really excited to dive into what you've been doing. So for listeners, Rose is on training camp with the Puma team, and we thought it would be a good opportunity to delve into what goes into a professional athlete's training camp. What even is it? What are you doing there? And how is it going to help your build for London?
Yes, so let's dive straight in. So yes, I am out in North Carolina in the US, which is where Puma have a professional team. And it's actually quite common in the US to have these professional teams. It's just like such a different system to the UK. Basically, the athletes go to college and then they just like come up through the system and join a pro team. So it's actually just how it's done out here. But it is, yeah, I think for me it's such a cool opportunity to be part of it. And having like not done sports at uni and not done running, really, for me it's like a real novelty as well. I mean, I have been out here quite a few times now, but it still feels like a really kind of cool opportunity to experience these pro camps.
I guess in America, where there are all these professional teams, it feels like it's easier to be a professional runner.
Yes, 100%. And that's actually, it's quite funny, like when I come out here, I feel like, don't get me wrong, like when I'm at home, like I get the job done, but it does feel way more professional out here. And there's a lot of talk around it as well. And Alistair, my coach who heads up the team, and Amy often talk about being professional as an athlete. And I have to say, I didn't really know what that meant when I first came out here. And I was like, well, I'm a professional athlete, so I guess I'm professional. But I didn't really get it. And the pennies kind of slowly dropped about what that means. And actually it's like the obvious things like turning up for training on time, but also it means like taking care of your body, recovering really well, getting your sleep in, which of course is all the things we talk about as really important. But when you're out here, it's like, no, that's actually part of your job. And, you know, the team are putting, and the coaches are putting a lot into giving you this amazing chance to train with them and be the best runner you have. So you've also got that like job responsibility. I guess it's more like a normal job. Like that's how it's seen. Like a normal job where, okay, you have like your targets and stuff, but it's kind of your responsibility to do all the little bits in between and like do the learning or...
Yeah, how do you feel that differs then from just your life at home, where you are taking it obviously incredibly seriously, it is still your job, but with that added level of, as you say, being really super professional, how do you think that benefits your training?
It definitely does. I mean, I think it just adds an extra level of almost accountability. It's like, you know, a coach. So yes, you might be super motivated to do your training if you've got a goal. And however self-driven you are and motivated, having a coach will always add an extra layer of like, okay, why I'm doing that run because they've set it for me and they're putting their time and effort into me and I want to do well for them as well as me. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, I obviously have a sense of that at home as well, because I do feel like I owe it to everyone who's put loads of work into my performance to actually look after myself and give myself the best shot to do well. But yeah, I think just having someone there who is, you know, driving that message is definitely helpful.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like just being in person though, like, and seeing your training as well is different, because like my coach, he's remote as well, as you know, so like it works absolutely fine, but I can see that there would be a huge benefit where you've got your coach like watching your sessions, and like then when you're feeding back of how you're feeling, it must be quite different where you're like, oh, I'm really tired, and they're like, well, yeah, we can see why you're tired because like we saw you doing this.
Yes, yeah, that's so helpful. And I think it's so, where I actually find it the most beneficial is when, if I am like really tired in the session, Amy and Alistair will sometimes adjust it and be like, okay, you know, we're going to shorten it or just take the paces down a bit. Whereas if I were by myself, like I would never give myself permission to do that because I would want to do the session they set me. And then it might not actually benefit me to like do the original plan if I'm really tired. So that's been super helpful. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely something that it's a real luxury to have a coach in person with you.
Yeah, Absolutely.
Producer Georgie here. Hello, everybody. Just forgive me as a complete layman who really just doesn't understand the professional thing. I mean, you did an amazing explanation of the professional thing, but when you say you're part of a team and you're all in a training camp together, are you all working towards the same common goal? Is there like a proverbial running league table that Puma is like trying to get to the top of? Like, how does it? Are you working together, or are you kind of trying to compete against each other? Like, how much of a team actually are you, and how much are you actually sort of running as individuals? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I guess it's a bit of both, because we're not competing as a team, like a football team or a netball team or whatever. We are, when we stand on the start line, ultimately we're individuals. And most of us are working towards different races as well. But I guess where it gets a little bit more complicated is where some athletes are working towards exactly the same race. And yeah, technically they're kind of competing with each other. And especially for things like the World Championships or the Olympics or the US trials or whatever, they're often competing for the same spot. But I have to say, in terms of the team dynamic, everyone just works really well together. There's never any element of like being overly competitive, or in sessions we train together and, you know, we'll each take a rep, and like the general atmosphere is no one tries and races each other and, you know, drops someone off the back and blows them up. It's not like that at all. It's very much like, right, we're given our paces, and the paces are so we can all work together. So that's really nice. But yeah, we're not actually like lining up. We don't all get points as a team or anything. So it is very much like an individual sport.
It's interesting terminology, isn't it? Because when I think about it, it's like, okay, you're all individually sponsored by Puma, right? So it's like you're collectively working for the same company, and together you're like a team for that company. But at the same, like, the team element comes with what you just discussed about you all wanting to help each other and like make each other better. But ultimately, like, you're all individuals that are just employed by the same company, which is Puma.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's the thing, Steph. It's like we do all genuinely want to help each other, and like if we can all have a good day, that's great. And, you know, we're all like really gunning for each other to do well. And I don't think that's just me kind of coming at it, because obviously I'm like from the UK as well, so I'm very rarely actually competing against the US athletes, but I really get that sense from the rest of the team as well. So it's a lovely atmosphere. It's very fun.
And why did your coaches decide on North Carolina as like the base for the Puma team?
So they actually travelled, when they first started this team, they travelled around loads of the US, basically trying to find the perfect spot for running. And they settled on here for a few reasons. So firstly, it's not altitude, which is quite unusual for a pro team. Lots of pro teams are at altitude, but there are actually a few problems with that. Firstly, like, it is really hard on your body to be at altitude all the time, and it works amazingly for some people, for others it doesn't, but it kind of limits who's going to be on your team, because, well, if you don't work well at altitude, you can't really join the team. There's also, like, in the US, the altitude spots do get snowy, whereas here, I mean, they had snow this year, but it was the first time in years. So the weather's really quite good. It does get horrendously humid in summer, but generally it's really good weather, and it's so cool for running. I honestly wish you could come out here, because the ATT, where we train, the American Tobacco Trail, is like a 22-mile long path that is like the width of a kind of single lake, like country road in England, but no cars. And it's not pancake flat, but it's like no huge hills in it. It's just like nicely rolling. It's basically a disused railway, so it's that kind of hilly.
What surface is it?
So it's mixed. There are bits that are tarmac, there's some that's like all gravel, and then there's some of it which is like half tarmac, half gravel. It's a perfect surface. And then it's just got these huge trees either side, so it's always like quite nice and shady, and it's just beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen your photos on it, and it looks absolutely like my ideal place to run. So one day I will come and join you. I'll just invite myself along.
I mean, that's also one of the reasons they're here, because it's like, it is a really great setup for training, and you have really good tracks.
Well, that does help when you do need the good setup.
True, helpful.
actually, who are you living with? Are you living with other people that are in the Puma team?
I'm actually now I was in an Airbnb for a week, but I'm now in the Puma house, which is quite a cool new thing they have. And it's just this rented house, but Puma rent it and they've like fully decked it out with Puma stuff. So athletes can kind of just come in here and stay, and it's really nice.
What are the features like? Have you got cool, just like ice baths like everywhere and like merch all up the walls? Like MTV Show Me Your Crib. Is that what it was? Is it MTV Show?
Yeah, MTV. Yeah.
MTV Crib shit. You know about your crib. What's in it?
So yeah, we have like this whole wall of like Puma legends, like a poster wall of Puma legends. There are these really cool like racing car chairs, I want to say, in the lounge, which are like red leather with Puma all over them. They're quite wild. And then they're actually building the gym downstairs in the garage. So it's going to have an Ultra-G treadmill, like an anti-gravity treadmill, some equipment, and then there's like a massage room downstairs.
Oh my God.
Great. So yeah.
You need to send more photos of this because I have not seen any glimpse of any of these things.
Okay. I will post them. We can post them up on the Instagram.
Yes. How many people can stay there?
There are 3 bedrooms.
Oh, it's quite small. I was imagining like a really massive house.
No, it's quite small. But yeah, currently it's Jack and I are here. And then there's actually some Japanese athletes who come across and train. They're also Puma, and their massage therapist is staying here until tomorrow. So they flew their own massage therapist out and he is here. So we get like on-tap treatment. It's great.
Do you eat together? Do you all sort of wake up and have breakfast with one another? Is it kind of like, you know, your family and you kind of move around one another, or are you very much doing your own thing?
I guess a bit of both. Like, we're not like, right, dinner is a 7 p.m. team. But we're kind of all on the same schedule. So yeah, and like obviously Jack and I are friends from home, so that's really nice. And so yeah, we'll like hang out quite a lot, but it's, I guess, a bit of both. But I have to say, I haven't mentioned one perk is the coffee machine. They have a proper coffee machine, which I'm so happy about, because I can, yeah, it's, as you know, that's a big deal for me.
Is it as good as your one from home?
No, it's not, but you know, it's either that or literally bankrupt myself with buying coffee shop coffees, which isn't great.
Yeah, I mean, the prices in America now are just absolutely insane.
New York, I paid $6 for a flat white. Can you believe it? And then they
ask
ask
you
for
to tip 20%. Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, you must be able to take a cut from that coffee.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Well, I am glad you can at least make your coffee at home. I was also going to ask, you clearly are a VIP getting to stay in this Puma house. Do you have to fund it yourself, or is it just part of your, like a perk of being sponsored by Puma and being part of the team that you get to stay there for free?
Yeah, it's literally a perk of the team. So it's free accommodation, which is, it's really, really, really cool to have it. And it just means like, you know, I can come away and do my best training out here and not have to think about it. It's not like, because America's really expensive and it would really be a consideration for me. It's like, okay, do I really want to spend like a good chunk of cash on 6 weeks training when I could go somewhere in Europe and, you know, spend a hell of a lot less? So it does make it a bit of a no-brainer. And I mean, it is, as we've said, like there are so many benefits to coming out here. So it's a big perk to get it in a lovely house for free.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And then I can just go and spend it all on coffees instead. So there we go.
There you go. It's where you spend the money that is important.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Rose.
We're the co-founders of Boldly, a movement created to make running safer, stronger, and more connected, especially when it gets dark.
Did you know that 72% of women change how or when they exercise during winter due to safety concerns?
All 3 of us know what it's like to avoid dark routes, cut runs short, or skip runs altogether because we don't feel safe at this time of year.
Boldly is here to change that. From social runs to useful tools, Boldly is here to connect runners, make running safer all year round, and reclaim spaces that we lose.
Join us every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for our weekly social run in Putney, and all paces are welcome so no one gets left behind.
And for even more connection, join our WhatsApp community. It's a space to chat, share tips, and meet more like-minded runners.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Boldly Run for details.
And sign up to boldlyrun.com for updates on our app, which is launching soon.
Because together, we can run safely.
Together, we run boldly.
So what does your average day look like? Is it different to what you would do at home, or is it pretty similar given I guess you're doing similar training to at home?
Well, Steph, you won't believe this, but my napping, I've been nailing it, honestly.
Congrats!
Even on easy days, I've had the odd nap. I can't believe
Really?
it.
How long do you nap for?
30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's good though, isn't it? You're not meant to do too much more.
Yeah, and it's got to start somewhere. So that's been a real breakthrough for me. But yeah, other than that, I'd say like fairly similar days. Get up, run, and then there's often a gym session in there and then a double. So like in terms of my training structure, pretty similar. But there's just, I guess, more downtime. And in that downtime, I'm actually like prioritizing recovery and doing my naps and getting treatment. So it's quite nice. But I've had to adjust my mindset a bit to not rush everywhere, because I have to say everyone else is a lot more kind of leisurely, let's say, than I am.
Do you think that's because they've come from that background of like collegiate running into like pro athlete life, whereas you've come from full-time lawyer working from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day to them being a professional athlete?
Yeah, 100%. And it's also just that mindset of like, I think it's London life, you know, you're always in a rush. And I'm always thinking, right, I have 75 minutes to do my 75-minute run. Like, I need to go and shower, quick change. Whereas here, it's, you know, you'll turn up for a run, you'll start running like half an hour later. And I'm getting there, I'm like there really angsty. And I said to Charlie about it, I was like, oh my God, like I was late for something afterwards that I'd scheduled. And I got stressed about it. And he was like, well, why are you rushing? Like, what are you actually rushing for? And a lot of the time, I'm not rushing for anything. I just stress myself out for no reason. So I've had to adjust my mindset a bit. But it's quite nice not rushing. I think I'm going to have a shock when I go back to London, aren't I?
Yeah, but I think you can almost bring that mindset back as well, because it really doesn't actually matter, does it? You know, when you feel like, oh my God, if I'm late for this, but actually like it's what you're prioritizing.
Yeah, we say that and then...
Oh yeah, it says the girl that has to be on time for everything.
I've got another question for you, Rose. Training partner. Do you have one? And what is a training partner? Have you just got lots of training partners now you're all in a camp together? Or is there someone that is allocated to you specifically? Because I always hear people talk about their training partners and I actually don't know how it works. And who is it that says, okay, you two are going to go together and you're going to work alongside one another? Like, how does it work, and what is that relationship?
It varies. I mean, back home, I would say the guys I train with, Ben and Matt mostly, I train with those two. They're much more like training partners in that my coach obviously gives me the sessions, they do my sessions. Obviously, they're like getting their own workout in, you know, they're not complete cannon fodder for me. Particularly Matt, like very much has his kind of own schedule as well, and he'll join the sessions if it suits him, which is very fair, and I would totally expect that. But, you know, they do my sessions, whereas out here, obviously everyone is professional athletes and no one's going to kind of sacrifice any part of their training for anyone else. But we do all work together. So we'll do a session together, and I mean, actually at the moment, quite a few of us are kind of very much on the same schedule because we're doing a marathon on the same day. The others aren't doing London, they're doing Dusseldorf, but it happens to be on the same day. So we line up really nicely. And then there are a couple of girls who are doing shorter distances, so 10K and half, and they'll do like part of our session and then some faster work. So we do mostly line up and work really well together, but I wouldn't say out here it's like training partners. It's more like everyone has their own agenda but just happens to line up quite nicely. Although having said that, I get my ass kicked on the track badly.
It must be good though, having that.
It is good. It's good. And, you know, I come here with the mindset of like, great, I really want to get my ass kicked because it's going to push me. But yeah, the 10K girls are really fast. And I think I'll have it. And then they'll just like crack out, I don't know, like 66, 400. And I can do a couple and then I'm just out the door.
Do you think like having other people that are at a very high level and they're obviously training for their own, even if it's not the same race as you, they're training for their own races that are just as important to them, but they're at this professional level. Do you think it's helpful being surrounded by them because you're kind of, I don't know, like you can understand each other's, the pressure that might be on you to perform?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a sense of that. And I think what's really nice as well is being surrounded by everyone who training is by far our number one priority. And everything else is like way down the list, which in normal life, that doesn't really happen. Even back home, you know, obviously for me, that's the case, but for the rest of the world, it isn't. And it's sometimes quite hard to negotiate that. Whereas here, like everyone is on the same page. And it's like training up here, everything else like way down the list. So that just makes it easier, to be honest.
Yeah, because people understand.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because sometimes it's like you might have plans with friends and it almost feels like, even though you know they'll accept it because they understand like how important it is to you, you almost feel like you're having to justify like why you can't do a certain time because of a run or a session.
Yes.
And it's like, you feel a bit stupid sometimes. You're like, yeah, sorry, I've got to fit my run in. But like, that's the most important thing for me that day.
Oh, 100%. And that's the difference. It's like, well, there's no questions asked here because we all just totally get it. And you never have to kind of feel bad about it. So that is quite nice.
Do you get any downtime with each other well, obviously in recovery, but if you've got a free evening, what do you do? Is there stuff, do you watch telly together? Do you go to the cinema? Like, do you actually get to sort of live a kind of normal life outside of, because you're effectively just in work all day. That's what it's like, isn't it? So how are you actually unwinding just as Rose?
Yeah, it's funny, Georgia. I feel like it's kind of like you're in work all day and kind of like you're never at work. It's a weird, like, yes, job, but it's also fun and quite chilled. Obviously, the sessions are, would you call them chilled? It's a bit like type B chilled, if that's a thing. But yeah, I mean, the downtime is definitely like solid downtime, but there are a few little excursions here and there, little dinners out, cinema. I want to like check out the local area a bit more because I feel like there's actually quite a lot around here. It's a very quiet area that we're in, but the surrounding towns are quite cool. So I'm going to check those out whilst I'm here. But yeah, there are a few social activities that go on.
Going a bit crazy.
The odd one.
Sounds
yeah.
You know, because obviously you're coming back to London ahead of London Marathon. How is a lot of thought gone into like the timing of when you come back and why you come back at that time?
Yeah, definitely. And it's still a bit up in the air because of that reason. So I've kind of got to, the main consideration is the travel and when I fit that in around workouts. So I can travel and then still like get all my good workouts in because it's a pretty crucial time. But also so I have enough time afterwards to get used to the time zone because it's that horrible way round of I'm going to have to be getting up earlier than I would be here. I mean, thankfully it's only 4 hours, which isn't horrific. But yeah, it's definitely going to be, I'm going to come back for the taper at some point during the taper that kind of works out for workouts. But yeah, it's difficult timing it. Thankfully it's not super early start for London. Otherwise I'll be really screwed.
Well, you start earlier than everyone else because the elite women start, is it wheelchairs, then elite women, and then everyone else?
Yeah, so I think we start at 9-ish.
Yeah, but that's still quite good, isn't it?
Lovely leisurely morning. Unlike New York that started at 7.
Oh yeah, I thought that. Yeah, what time did you have to get up for New York?
3:50. It was, I mean, that's the middle of the night, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's incredibly early. So that's New York half, which you did weekend just gone. And that was your first race since the Olympic marathon, right?
It was, and I have to say...
That's amazing.
It was really good to be back on the start line. I was actually a little bit ill for the race, which wasn't great, but thankfully it mostly kicked in afterwards. So I got through the race and it was just great to be back on the start line. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. And I felt like it was funny. I mean, in a way, it hasn't been that long since I raced, but some things just felt a bit alien. And I think I'm really glad I went through all that in New York ahead of London, because I think if I had to do that at London and go through all those kind of slightly, those feelings that I'd forgotten about on race day and like the preparations, then I would be a bit flustered. But now I've done it, I'm like, okay, no, I remember all this and I'm ready. I feel a lot more prepared for London. It was really good, and I have to say it's a fantastic race. If you can get out to New York half any year, I would highly recommend it.
Honestly, yeah, I was following along to it, and there were so many people that I knew doing it. I was like, everyone seems to be at New York half. It looked so fun. Yeah, I have to do it. It's like 1 year. It looks So good. But I think you're so right. Like, there's nothing that replicates the feeling of racing apart from doing a race. Like, it's such a different feeling. Before, like, just that whole like feeling when you're warming up and then as you're like going to the start line, you just can't replicate that in a session, those emotions and nerves that you get.
Yeah, and the first few miles, I really don't like the first mile for some reason. It's like that feeling of like, oh shit, we're off, we're doing this, and then you get into it. But like, the more you can get used to that, I think it's good.
Well done. And now it will be 5 weeks to go when this comes out until London Marathon.
5 weeks to go, which is exciting. And what, 3 weeks to go for you?
2.
2? Oh my God.
Doesn't feel like a real number. I was like, surely not 2. It'll never be 2 weeks to go. Yeah, two. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm flying so when this comes out, I'll be flying in 3 days' time. Flying next Thursday.
So exciting. Okay, well, that's the taper. There you go.
It absolutely
so when this
is,
comes
yeah.
out, you'll be like done with proper training.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of feel like I am already, to be honest. So I'm kind of just like ticking along now. Couple more little sessions and then good to go.
I feel like I've got a big 3 weeks ahead of me.
Yeah, that's the big bit. Yeah, you're in like the proper deep end. And Georgie, you must feel that as well. I mean, you're at the same stage with London coming up.
I am, but I hurt my back last week.
I know.
I know. And I've been injured a lot in my life and I've never hurt my back. I was like, of all the things, I've always had my back, and now it's just gone. So last week was meant to be my biggest week, and this was going to be my longest run week. I was meant to be doing a Clapham Chasers race actually along Richmond Riverside on Sunday.
Yeah, the 20 miler.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. So any sort of time goals, I think, unfortunately, have probably gone. At this stage, it's just going to be making it to the start line in one piece. But you know what? I'm actually okay with that. It just means I can just enjoy the day and just soak up the atmosphere. And I think I'll probably still PB because I'm a much stronger runner this year than I was last year. So I don't know. I don't really mind. I'm just going to enjoy the day. And it means that I'll be able to track what you've done, Rose. I'll be able to sort of like get my phone out and think, where is she? How's she doing? So yeah, it'll just be a different day, but that's okay.
It might be. What do you think you've done to it?
Do you know, I really don't know. It's a really messy mix because I did a 20 miler, which I weirdly saw Steph at. I didn't know Steph was racing. Steph didn't know I was racing. Steph finished probably an hour and a half ahead of me, and I saw her running home as I still had about 10k to go. And I shouted, Steph, and I had these stupid glasses on. And...
No, you didn't shout Steph. You shouted Georgie. So I heard this girl going, Georgie, Georgie. So then I looked and you were like pointing at yourself, it's Georgie. And I was like, oh, I thought someone was calling me Georgie. So that's why I didn't realize it was you. And it took me so long to be like, oh, it's Georgie.
I shouted Steph and then you looked at me and you were sort of, and you were with two other people and they all looked at me like someone's calling for Steph. And then as I said, yeah, it's Georgie. There was another random spectator who was clearly like, well, this girl wants to be hyped up. So then she started cheering for me and she was like, come on, Georgie. And I was like, if this is what I've got to do, running around a race course, just shouting my name so people cheer for me, then that's what I'm going to do. But yes, I ran past you. But that race I did for the first time wearing carbon shoes, and I've run in carbon shoes before, but I've not done a really long run in them before. So it was they were just testing them out as race shoes. So there was that. The week before, I had done some quite heavy lifting, possibly slightly heavier than I had before. And then on Tuesday, I went and did a track session, and I thought I'd recovered quite nicely from Sunday. And I was just doing reps of 400 meters, so I was moving pretty quickly, or my version of quickly, which is always, it's really humbling when you watch videos back of yourself and you feel like you're flying and you're just moving.
Oh, I always think that about me. Yeah, I think, God, I look so slow.
I thought I was pounding around the track, and then I watched this video back and I thought that was so disappointing. And not only that, I've actually done something to my back. So physio doesn't know because everything is kind of in spasm, so he thinks I've torn something. It is what it is. I saw him again today and he's given me the green light to do some very, very gentle little runs just to see if I set it all off again. But he thinks that apparently I have absolutely no core, which is nice. He actually laughed at me as I was doing a plank. He was like, I can't believe how weak you are. So
That's really kind.
he actually laughed. He really was really having a giggle. I thought, this is great for you. I'm in a lot of pain. So I don't know. It is what it is, but I'm just refocus my goals for the race now. I'm just going to go and enjoy it. And, unlike you guys, I have very little pressure on me. I am just doing it for the enjoyment of it and because it's my hobby. So yeah.
Yeah, it's all relative. That is a real shame. But hopefully you can make the start line, and it seems like you have at least accepted different outcomes and different goals. And if it is a case of just running it for fun and not worrying about the time, then at least you're there.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I think I'd said to the both of you, I haven't been enjoying running recently, and we all go through those blips. I know that it happens to everybody. It's just that this blip has gone on ever so slightly longer than I would have liked it to have. And I sort of thought, well, if I'm going out on these runs and I'm coming back and I'm not feeling great about myself, then what is the point? I run because I love running. I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. It's a hobby. And if it's not making me feel good, then something needs to change. So it's actually not the worst thing in the world that my goal has changed, because it just kind of means that I'm able to take a step back, think, what is the reason I'm doing this? And it's because I enjoy it, and actually because I'm raising some money for charity. That's really the core of it. So yeah. That's really all it comes down to.
Yeah, I think that's such a good message, because actually then if you can take it back and start enjoying it, you'll want to run more anyway. And there is always that time in marathon training. I do think this is the period that everyone struggles with, actually, because it's a tough period. You've done a lot of training, you're quite tired, but you've also got quite a long way to go. And it's that in between stage of oh, this is hard and I've still got quite a lot to do. But you'll get through it, and before you know it, it'll be 2 weeks to go, and it'll be great, and you'll have a great time.
I know, it's creeping up on me.
Rose, so if we just go back to you being on the Puma training camp, obviously this is an experience that not many people get to do. Do you have any advice for just, your everyday runner who can't access the same resources that you can and other professional athletes, but they want to get the most out of their training? What can they do, I guess, if they're at home, or can they go on their own little training camps? What can they do that can maybe just heighten their training and they can get a benefit out of it?
There's a lot to be said for training camps, but I also accept that it's really difficult for most people to do that, because jobs, family, and then try kind of adding in, okay, I'm actually going to use my holiday allowance to go on a training camp. I accept for most people that's not really a thing. But I think particularly for people who might be doing a spring marathon, are kind of coming to crunch time when training is important for whatever reasons, whether you are going for a PB, whether you're raising money for charity, whatever it is, you put a lot of work into getting into the marathon and you want to get to the start line so you have the best day possible. I think my biggest tip would be it's okay to be a little bit selfish for a few weeks and to say no to all the extras, the social occasions. People will get it, and it's only such a limited amount of time. And yeah, there are life happens, and there are some things that will get in the way of training, and it's important to be okay about that and not get stressed about it, because that will obviously have a negative impact. But yeah, I think it's also totally fine to just be yeah, I am actually prioritizing my training a bit for this next tiny little period. And then remember that after the marathon, you're going to have a lot of downtime when you don't even have to run, so you can go and make up all that social time, the things that you said no to, and be the yes person for however long after London you want to, or the marathon you're doing.
Yeah, excited for that period. We've got a few things planned.
I want to do so much for the pod. Be in the studio every day, podcast every day.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be fun. But I think, yeah, you're right. And also, I do think it's a benefit of people, now that running's kind of blown up into being a massive thing and everyone's training for a marathon or whatever, I think maybe people do understand it a bit more. If you are going to say, look, I can't go to this, I'm training for this marathon or this event, then people are probably more likely to understand a bit better now, because it is a more widespread hobby.
Yeah, definitely. And if it's important to you, people should get it. And if they don't, well, then do they matter?
Are they your friend?
That's a very philosophical note to end on, isn't it?
Do you guys, as we round up, want to talk about some of the exciting people we've got coming on the pod, or do you want to keep it as a surprise?
Oh, I don't know. We have some such cool guests coming on, and I think we should keep it as a surprise. But I will say we've got some very cool guests on who are doing London Marathon for different reasons and all have very unique running journeys. But I cannot wait for some of the episodes we have coming up. It's going to be great.
Excited. And they are very different to ones we've done before, which, Georgie, we have
Yeah.
to thank you for, because you've been extremely helpful in finding new guests and making the podcast even more exciting.
Oh, what can I say? What can I say? Pay me well enough.
Oh gosh, I really can't wait. There's some really good episodes coming up.
We have a lot of inspiration and I think quite a lot of laughs along the way over the next few ones. So cannot wait.
Well, we will see you all next week for one of those very exciting guest episodes.
Thanks for joining us. 5 Miles Easy.
Oh,